Hey guys, it's Maymay,
Brenda, and Shannon.
and we are here again to do a threes a charm video for you guys. This one's pretty fun.
Yes. It is.
Let's be honest.
This one was a little hard for me, and I was shocked.
Well,
because it's kind of my thing.
It is kind of Brenda's thing, which is kind of funny because we leaned into this for Brenda, but the thing is, I think it challenged us, and we had a really good time.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
It was fun.
So here's the challenge. Our challenge was, really honestly, we just wanted an excuse to go shop at Rustic Relics. Let's be honest, we just want to go shop. So that's what we did. We decided this challenge would be, we had to find a frame at Rustic Relics, and then we had to use paper crafting supplies to turn it into a home decor item. So the three of us went shopping. We got a little footage of that. We're going to let you watch that real quick.
Hey guys, it's Maymay, Shannon, and Brenda, and we are getting ready for our threes a charm for February, right? Yeah, for February. It's our second one we've ever done. And first, we want to apologize for not having our lips on. We just had lunch. My grandmother would be so disappointed in us right now.
My mama would.
I put lip gloss on. Shannon got a little lip gloss. We don't have any.
We don't.
But here's the rules. So here's what we're going to do. We want to use stamps, scrapbook paper, ink, markers, color pencils, colors, whatever we have to create a framed spring piece for our home. So the rules we have is it has to be a framed spring piece. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can think outside the box. Your frame can be something different. Your frame can be shaped. It can be whatever, but that's the parameters we're going to go with. So guess where we're at? Rustic Relics. We're looking for frames. We're looking for what we want to start with, and then we'll go back to the shop and we'll figure out how to use stamps and all of our fun stuff to make it happen. Does this sound fun?
I'm excited.
We'll see what happens.
Challenge. This is going to be a challenge.
We can stop talking so we can shop. Okay, let's go.
There we go.
Okay, so these two, they're cracking me up. Brenda's already picked up a piece and said, can I just do this? And now Shannon's like, okay, I'm done. Here it is. No, we're going to do our own. We'll be so proud.
Be so proud.
But you can be inspired by that. Look, there's lace in there.
Look, there's your green frame. I like the green. I know.
All right, we're going to keep shopping for our frames. We'll bring you along when we find something.
I like that blue frame. Oh my gosh. It's got a bird. It's a bird.
It's cute.
It is adorable, but it's tiny.
It's little.
I like
But you know.
It's pretty.
But it's a maybe.
It's a maybe.
You have another maybe in your hand already?
I have another maybe in my hand already.
All right, we're going to
It
keep.
has a handle.
I like the handle. I don't know. We can't influence each other. This is hard.
Not influencing. I picked it up first.
We want to say.
I found this one, but I don't want to tear it up.
You can't cheat.
What do you think?
I mean, tell me.
Hey, I can't tell you, but
$4.99.
I'm impressed.
That's why that one speaks more.
I think I could do something. This is a thinker. I'm gonna think on this one.
Okay.
Okay, guys, you just saw me find this, but then I found this. Look at this. Maybe we should have given ourselves like a dollar amount so we'd have parameters, but do we?
You should definitely give yourself a small dollar amount. Small. A $4
I
credit.
have a $4
Not a
credit, Missy.
You need a little.
Vince is telling me I have to have a budget, but I don't. But this is worth it. This is only $12.99. So do we want a budget for our frame? Do you want to say we have a budget? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say I'm putting this back, and I'm going to let this be my frame for now. So we're going to start with Shannon's project. I think you're going to love it. I'm seeing it. You're not seeing it yet. We're going to let you wait for a minute. But Shannon, I want to ask you before we show it. Were you surprised how the end product came out?
A little, yeah. I knew how I wanted it to look, but I don't know. It's like everything else. It never actually comes out how you plan.
So let's watch Shannon put together her frame, and we'll let her tell us all about it at the end.
Hey guys, so for this project, I chose this frame from Rustic Relics, and I'm going to try and play along with how they had it laid out. I went online and found this bird that I wanted to use, so I just printed off a copy of this silhouette, and I did it on cardstock because I want to trace this in a few minutes. So here I am fussy cutting the bird out with the limb. I want to use the limb, but not for the first part, so I wanted to make sure I kept it. So I get the bird all fussy cut out, and here I'm cutting a piece of paper because I'm gonna stamp the bird in a few minutes. So I went and got some yellow tape and taped the bird down so I could trace it out, so I can stamp over the top of him. So here I'm tracing him out so I can get his silhouette, because I'm going to use the Merry Melody stamp to put the music notes over the top of the bird. So I get my stamp all set up in the MISTI, and you can faintly see the pencil marks where I stamp over the top of what I traced. So for the top part of my frame, I decided that I want to make these wood slats and use the oval die set. So these are 1-inch strips that I cut, and I use our gray Distress ink to drag to make the wood look. So I got 5 of those. You measure this by seeing which die you want to use, and the oval die that I'm using, I needed 5 strips. So here I'm laying them out to get the spacing I want. I wanted a little to show through for the paper that I'm going to back this with. So I had to have a tiny little space. I had to use a lot of tape here. You don't want your strips to move when you go to die cut them, because they're all going to separate. So you'll see I flip it over here and tape the back middle also. So when they're cut out, they all stay together for you. So I find my die and line it up here. It's the postage stamp die that we have here in the store. And I line up the oval one just so you can see all of the wood strips. And then this is the blue that I'm going to use. The larger postage stamp die, this is going to be the blue backer. So I get it all fixed to run through the machine. This is back to the bird that I stamped, and you can see faintly the little line, and I just fussy cut him out. And once he's all cut out, I go back to the original bird that I fussy cut, and this is where I told you I wanted to use the black branch. So I used the memento marker to go around the edge and cover up all the white. And you can see on my little branch where my tape tore the ink color off. So I lay it down in a second. You can see I used that memento marker to darken the whole branch back up, so that when I go to put it on my oval piece, it all looks really pretty. And this also made the white a little bit stronger, because the blackbird is cut out on cardstock to make it stiff, because I want this piece to be on my mantle at my house. So I wanted him to stand out well. Here I used the Robin Redbreast paper, and I found a sheet, and I'll cut it down to the size to fit the backer of my frame. I was going to use this green and layer it up, but then I realized when I went to put it back in my frame that you couldn't see the layers. So I didn't use that piece, so you won't see it in the finished product. I decided, since you wouldn't see it, that to just glue it to a piece of chipboard to make it sturdy, so that over time it wouldn't like wilt and start to get loose in my frame. So I glued that in, and then I decided to back the wood with green, since I put green on my other layers, so you would see some contrast in the two. So this is the same oval that I used to cut the wood strips out. So it's the same size. You just have to kind of play around and get them laid out just right with the little gap that I left for the green. So all I do here is glue them all down and get them on. They're not perfect, but it wound up looking really cute. So once I get these all on here, you'll see that I layer it onto the blue piece, and I tried to figure out how much foam I wanted to use and what I wanted to prop up, and I decided to prop it all up. I propped the bird up on the wood with the foam, and then I used foam on the back of the green and propped it up because I wanted it to be really dimensional on the frame. If you don't know, I have lots of birds, and I love birds. Fake birds, not real birds though. They kind of creep me out. So now I also used the postage die set to cut out the blue and the green. I used the rectangular one in 3 different sizes. And here I used our rickrack that we have in the store and wrapped it around the bottom, and then secured it on the back with some yellow tape. And then I propped it up with some foam tape as well to add some more dimension. So for this one, I stamped the blessed with our stamp set Thankful, Grateful, Blessed. And again, I use a lot of foam, but I really, really want this to last. So I didn't want it to get loose eventually and fall. So I was gonna hook all this on, and then I decided that I needed to put it into my frame so I could get the borders right, because you have a little allowance with it, and I didn't want to mess it all up before I put it in the frame. So here I get it all situated on top, and more foam, as you can see. I went foam happy. But I got Scotty and foamed both pieces up, and I went to stick this one down, and then I decided I don't need to stick it yet. Stop, and put the bless down so I could get those lined up just right. And this is my project that I will take some pictures and show y'all what it looks like in my house.
So you got to see Shannon's footage and what she did, and I already know the question you have. How did she do that wood grain thing? It's really cute, and it's real good in person, but I wanted her to kind of talk to you about what her process was for that.
Well, I saw an example on Pinterest, and it was kind of, they didn't show this process, but I liked the way the wood grain looked, and I knew I wanted to put the bird on it. So I used our new ink pad that we had and dragged it, and then I decided I wanted to separate it out to actually make it look like old wood planks put together, and it turned out really, really well, and I was impressed.
It's beautiful.
The thing is, it looks like you have woodwork in here, but you didn't use any power tools.
Well, I
Exactly.
Is the Gemini a power tool?
I
think it is.
I think it is. I really think it is. I want one of those.
All right, Brenda, what's your favorite thing about Shannon's?
I'm going to tell you, it's the music notes on the bird, because it puts movement in the whole thing. And even though the bird's not making noise, you can hear the bird singing.
It's also cool because Shannon didn't have music note paper. We probably did, but she made it herself, and that I really like that too. Not my favorite thing. My favorite thing is using this big old word in home decor. This is a stamp, and I love how you made that part of your home decor piece. I love it.
Well, you know, Blake says everything in our house talks, so I'm adding something else that talks.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Well, you know, words are so big now in
They
home
are.
decor.
Yeah.
They really are.
Thanks. It was fun.
So that was Shannon's project, and now I think we're going to look at mine because I was last time, so we'll kind of mix it up a little bit. And right now you'll get to see my fast-forwarded process, and at the end I'll show you the final project and we'll talk about what I did.
So for my frame, I want to do a bunny silhouette. So I went online and found this shape, and I just printed it out on regular like printer paper. I've gone to my Scanncut, and I'm going to stick this down. Now the idea is I want to make sure I have this where when I put my 12 by 12 page on here, it'll cut. And I also want to make this guy a little bigger. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to scan this in. So the machine is on. We're going to click scan, and we're going to choose scan to cut data. The reason I want to do that is I want to save this into my system for later. So I'm going to let this scan, and I'll show you the next steps. Another reason I chose scan to cut data is because I don't want to cut this. I want to cut a different piece of paper. So if I told it to direct scan and cut, it would want to cut what's on here. But remember, I want to try to make this bigger. So that's why we want to make the data option. All right, so now I'm going to frame it up. I'm going to click here and slide this over, and then click here and slide this down. So we're going to frame up the object, and we're going to say okay. Now it's going to recognize, and this is where it's recognizing all the lines of the image, so we're going to give that a second to do that. I have a feeling my lines are going to be pixelated because my image is, and the Scanncut sees every tiny little thing, but I don't think I'm going to stress about it. I think we're going to let that go. So let's see what we got now. All right, here it's telling me it wants me to choose, do I want the outside line or inside? I'm going to choose this one. So that's the line it wants to cut. There's a couple little things here and there it wants to cut as well. I'm not going to worry about those. I'm going to click save. Now, it's asking me, where do I want to save this? I'm going to save it to my Scanncut. And it is saved in the machine's memory here. So I'm going to say, okay. And now what I want to do is go to that image. So let me come out of here. I'm gonna go home. Okay. And now I'm gonna go to pattern. And here I'll go to save data on the machine. And the one I want is number 25. So let's scroll down. Here's my bunny. Let's select him. Okay, let's see if we can do some editing on him. Okay, so on this screen, do you see up here at the top where it has these images on the mat? I'm gonna choose that. This is what's gonna let me choose what's on the mat, what we work with and what we don't. I'm gonna zoom in. Remember those pieces I said I didn't really wanna cut? They were on the mat also. Here's one here. I'm gonna click on it and I'm going to delete it. By having it chosen there, I can then hit this and that will go away. And I can zoom in again and see if I can find any others. And I think I have to go this way. I keep wanting to do it different. There's one right here. I'm gonna see if I can grab it. Might not be able to. There we go. Let's try doing it that way. There we go. So let's go back and delete that little guy. There's one here as well, so I'm gonna try to grab it. I think I can get it without zooming in. Delete. The rest is all bunny. We should be okay there. All right, nope, there's one more piece. Let's grab it. All right, so here's our bunny. So remember I told you I wanted him to cut bigger for my frame? Here's what I'm gonna do. With him selected, I'm gonna click this image right here and I'm gonna change the size right here. So I'm gonna make him bigger and I'm gonna make him a little wider if I can. It doesn't want me to because he's touching the edge. So let's bring him to the middle. I don't wanna make him too big. I do want him to be the focal point, but not too big. Let's go with that. That's a pretty big guy. So I'm gonna say okay and okay. And I'm gonna say okay again. I can save this too. Let's save it. I'm gonna overwrite the other one because I deleted all that mess off I don't want in the future. So I'm gonna do that. And he's saved there, we're good. All right, now we're gonna go cut. So say okay, and we're gonna cut. But here's the thing, I don't wanna cut this, remember, this is what we scanned. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. So I want him to be a brown bunny. So what I've done here is I've gotten my brown cardstock. It's a 12 by 12. And I'm loading that on the mat, just like this. Now, I'm not using my DX. This is my original, the Scanncut CM350. So I have to check my blade depth myself because my DX is automatic. This is pretty deep. I'm gonna change that to about 8. That's a little bit strong too, but we're gonna go there to be safe. And I'm gonna hope this stays down. I may add a little tape to hold this in place. I'd rather add the tape to be safe and keep it still than halfway through it wiggle. Now you may be thinking, you know, you could just cut that out with scissors and it'd be faster. There is some truth to that, but it is also nice that now I'll have this saved in the system and I can do it next time over and over again. Let's see what we got. So it cut through really nicely. That was set on 8 on my blade. And look at our cute little bunny. I want to make sure you guys can see it. There he is. He's so cute. We're going to use him. Now I know you're thinking, Maymay, you have a Cricut. Why didn't you use that? I wanted to show you the Scanncut. You guys ask me all the time to show you more Scanncut things. If you have a Cricut or a Silhouette, just find a bunny in there and cut it out and it'll work. But if you have this, now you know how to do it. And your bunny is now saved in your machine so you can use it again over and over. Let's go make a frame with it. So this is the frame I chose. And in classic Maymay style, I changed my mind from the whole get-go. So my plan changes completely here. I decided to paint this guy white or do a really rough distress paint job. White just matches my home better than brown, so that's why I did that. And originally, I wanted to use that chevron as my background, and I completely changed my mind and decided to do something more spring, more that went with what my plan was. So I'm cutting this plaid paper down, but you'll see that it's too short for the box. So I decided to add another piece to the bottom. So once I get this one fitted just right, I go back into the paper pack and find a piece that coordinates. It's just kind of a purple flower. And I'm going to glue these two pieces to each other. Now, at this point in time, my thought process was, I'm going to make this temporary in this box so I can change it out season after season. So I'm going to use glue dots to hold that page down. That was my plan. By the time this was over with, I hot glue something in and it kind of changes things. So this may be permanent, but honestly, I think it turned out cute and it was so much work to get it done that I don't think I want to change it out season after season. And I really don't want to store it. So we're going to go with it. So here's the little brown bunny we cut out from our Scanncut. I think he is so cute right there. And now I decide that he needs a little collar. What bunny doesn't need a velvet collar, right? So I put a little velvet on him, and I'm going to create a little bow, just a simple little bow to put on him as well. And I'm going to let that dry off to the side because it takes a minute with this velvet
for the art glitter glue to dry. It will dry and it does a good job, but it takes a minute. So just fashioning a simple little bow, using the glue to hold it together and wrapping a piece of velvet around it. I think he turned out really cute. And this really is just 2 loops with ribbon around the middle. Anybody can do that one. So I'm going to go ahead and glue him into place without the bow. I'll come back and put the bow on toward the end because it's sitting there to the side with my tweezers holding it shut. You can see it's being held to dry. And now's where we're going to have some fun. So this, I'm going to call this sort of quilling. We're going to sort of quill. It's not exactly, but it sort of is. I'm going through the paper pack, picking out some spring colors that I want to use to make some tulips that I saw on Pinterest, okay? They were made with 1/2-inch strips of cardstock. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm cutting down several 1/2-inch strips in different colors to make tulips, and I'm also going to make the leaves out of these strips. It was very fun and very easy. And here's what I want to say. I do believe that you're going to want a standalone video about this. I'm not sure, but I think you will. So I want you to tell me in the comments if you want me to do this in more detail for you guys, because it's super easy, but it might not come across as easy here sped up. So the first thing I do is I place all of my stems, and you see how I put the glue on the edge of the page? I'll show you another way I try in a minute that didn't work as well. This is actually the better process. It's just dabbing the glue on. And so you notice that my stems are all different sizes. You saw that sneaky tulip. We'll get back to it. The reason for that is because I want my tulips to land in different spots around the bunny. So this is where I try putting the glue onto my glass mat and picking it up. To be honest, it didn't work any better. It kind of dries too quick. Art glitter glue is too quick for that. So that's why I go back to the dots. Now I did a test tulip. This was my test tulip and it worked. So I decided to go ahead and just put him in the box. And now I'm going to show you how I assemble them. So I take these strips. This is a 4.5-inch strip that I'm going to glue together in a teardrop shape. Okay. Then that teardrop gets glued to the top of that stem straight down onto the bunny. That is that easy to make the body of your tulip. Now I want my tulip to have these little points on the side. So I take another strip and fold the tip down to make the point. And I'm going to glue it to the side of the tulip and glue the point down to the top of the tulip. All this getting glued to the bunny at the bottom. Now it looks a mess right now. There is so much glue everywhere, but I promise you the end product, you don't see it. It goes away. It's completely clear. So you see again, I made that little folded point. And I'm just kind of cutting the page down to fit and gluing it down. This is why I think you might want me to do this in slow motion and give you guys a video on it. And if you do, I will. These would be really cute on a card too. I could show you how to do that. So here you see I did all those tulips, right? Now it's time for leaves. Leaves are super easy. You fold the paper in half, you glue one side a little short, and you see how I get that little lift. And again, we glue it straight down to the page. Super fun. I really did enjoy this process. I was a little intimidated by all the leaves and the placement at first, but it laid out pretty easy. I think it worked pretty good. Okay, now I decide that little bunny needs a butterfly on his nose, and also part of this challenge was to use stamps or to use regular crafting supplies, right? So I find this page that I really like and I stamp the bunny, and then I decide I want to do like an old school decoupage technique, which is where you kind of layer the image like 3 or 4 different times and show all the layers. So that's why I'm stamping it in multiple colors. So I'm doing these 3 colors here, and we're going to fussy cut him out. Now, you'll notice I cut the extra pieces off of this yellow one. He's going to be my middle layer, so I really don't have to have all those extra pieces. I keep like you'll see what I mean, like it's not antenna, but the little bottom part of his wing. I keep that on the pink and on the white because the pink one is my bottom layer and the white is my top layer. So I do want all the details on those, but the middle piece, I didn't care about that. Of course, we're going to memento it and change all the little white edges to black because we want it to look like I did a really good fussy cutting job, although we know I didn't. So that is a professional tip, right? Now, glue one wing. That's all I'm going to glue. So I'm gluing the small wings together on all 3 pieces. Then I'm going to take foam squares and put one foam square between each wing to create that dimension so that it will stay that way in my little shadow box. This reminds me of like 1970s decoupage so much, and I think it's kind of cool. So I have one wing that's all lifted. We'll press those back together, and then we're going to glue that right above the little bunny's nose. I think it is so cute. Now this part that's coming up after we glue this down, these eggs. I wanted to use these eggs. We have these in the store now. They're new, and I've been wanting to use them, but they were a little difficult. I had to do a lot of playing around to find the placement. But once I got it, I think it worked. So I take the egg into our little glue skillet. I love that too. Brenda said she loved it. I love that little thing too. By the way, it does not make threads or little hairs. It's so incredible. I really love it. So each little egg is going to get glued into place. And this is where my I'll take this out and change it next year idea went away. This is where I think I'm going to leave it and use it every year. So I'm gluing these 3 here, but then I decide I don't really like all that air between them, although it is kind of cute looking at it on camera. I thought it needed a little bit of something. So I dig into some greenery and I cut little leaves and just kind of glue them around here and there to fill in those kind of airy spots. I don't want to cover up all my quilling. I want to leave that there, but I think it needed a little bit of something, and it really does look cute once you get it all finished. Now, one thing I do, and I want to encourage you to do, is I'm laying this down to work on it, but you need to stand it up, and I do in a second. You need to stand it up so you can really see where the little holes are and where you need to add the leaves. And don't go crazy. That leaf I'm using is the same one Brenda used, and we probably could use it 3 or 4 more times in different projects. We had that many of them to use. So just gluing those in. Now I do another little set on the right-hand side. I just do 2 little eggs on the right-hand side, and I think it turns out really cute. And this is my finished project. I love it. It completely different than what I had in my mind. This guy was going to be a whole different guy, and he just changed last minute. So there you go.
Okay, we saw Shannon's. Now we get to see Maymay's. I'm excited about this one. I really am. This is a process that really brings a lot of things into it. So tell me about it.
Well, so for me, the funny thing is, this frame I picked, I wanted to use the dark frame and I wanted to use the chevron background that it had originally.
Right.
And Missy always tells me to paint things, from Rustic Relics. She's always wanting me to paint things because that's what she does on her channel. I'll link her channel below so you can go see it. So it was funny that I decided to paint at the end.
It is.
But I did because I thought this isn't going to match my house if I don't paint it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought originally, I'll do this where I can change it out season after season, whatever. By the time I did all this quilling work, or quasi-quilling, I'm going to call it quasi-quilling because it's not really. By the time I did all this, I'm like, no, I'm not changing this out. We're going to leave it like it is. And I love it. And then I really enjoyed bringing in the home decor part.
Yes.
And we had talked about challenging ourselves that we had to use stamps, and so we never really made that part of the parameter, but I decided to anyway. And I really like the whole lifty part, the whole like decoupage part.
Yes,
yeah. It was a lot of fun for me to do.
It's very 3D, and I like that. In fact, you might say 4D.
I was afraid these would go flat, but they did not. They don't look flat at all. They really look dimensional.
Yes, they do. They really do. And then the bunny bow, it just the whole thing together. Your eyes. I love the way that you set it up because your eyes go as they should.
Kind of travel.
Yes.
I can't wait to take it home. It's been too long. I'm ready to put it in my house.
I know.
It's almost Easter. In my house.
We're ready, right? Let's get them home.
We're ready.
Take it home.
All right, let's check out Brenda's.
Hey guys, I decided to do triple frames. It actually was 4, so that's what they look like. And I decided to do 3 different frames, and I want to hang them for my bathroom. So I took the glass out of it and the picture out of it, and I chose the Little Robin Redbreast paper. It was so cute. So after I took the paper out, I chose me 3 different patterns, and it was not hard to choose 3 different patterns. I just started going, and I got all 3 patterns just happened to go right next to each other, and I cut them out to fit the frame. And then I just actually, after I got it cut out, I actually just covered the wood that was there. It had a wooden backer to it, so I just basically covered that. And like I said, I did 3, and they're all done just alike. So we're not going to do but 1, but they're all basically done the same. I cut them all 3 out, as you see. Put them all in the frames. That paper is absolutely beautiful. I found the cut-aparts, and I chose the ones that I wanted from there. The first one we're going to do is the redbreast, Robin Redbreast. I found the nest. So I just cut out around it. You all are going to find that this paper has so much potential. And I didn't want it to be square. I didn't want it to be flat looking. So I just fussy cut around it real loosely. You know how we just make it not be square is all I was trying to do. And then I put it on the paper. I didn't put it all the way to the bottom. I left a little space there, but I wanted some natural in it. So I chose some of the leaves. We have these in the store and they're absolutely wonderful. So I chose some of the leaves there to kind of give it a little depth and give it a little mixed media also. I popped up the nest because I wanted to be able to tuck the leaves down in there, which they fit really nicely when I did that. And I cut the big part of the leaf off. So they're 3D, but they, you know, they still had that natural look. Then I took my Scotty and I popped up the big nest area where the nest is down in the pretty little flowers there. I popped that up. And like I say, I did the 3 others. I did them all just alike. When you see them, you'll see they're basically done the same, just different paper. And I wanted this to be really high, so I did double Scotty. And then I took my little glue pop, which I absolutely adore. I'm going to have one of these. I do not have one, but I'm going to. And then I just dipped them in and stuck them up under there. So it appears that the nest is in the leaves. It's kind of in the trees. You know how that tucks in there. And the next thing I did, I cut out my robin first. I wanted my robin redbreast to be on there. And I just fussy cut him out, distressed it all around to give it that little vintage look that I like. I did every one of them the very same. I distressed all around. I distressed, as I was going, I distressed around the nest too. And of course got the little bird. One of the reasons is I kind of bubble cut it, so that just kind of takes that white off of it. And that's a little tip. I know Maymay has taught all of us that. And then I put my little bird up in there, so he's got his little nest. He's protecting the little eggs. And this is where I used the glossy accents. And it made the little legs shiny. And then it also made the bird shiny. It just kind of brought that out another dimension. I loved mixed media, and I just wanted it to have dimension. So you basically have your bottom layer, your leaves, you have your nest, your bird, and then that glossy sense gives it a whole nother look. See how pretty? And then I distressed the frame. I took the Distressed Oxides. I did blue on this one, but on the other 3, I did all different colors. I chose different colors. I didn't do the same color on them all. And then I just came back to wipe off some of the distress. I didn't want it to be in your face. I just wanted it to have that little natural look. I added a little bit of the velvet ribbon to give it a whole nother dimension. And as you see in the others, they're done basically the same way, just something that looks different. And what a fun project.
That is Brenda's. Now, I got to tell y'all something. Brenda's the reason we did this challenge, because we're trying to do things that kind of fit us all, and I'm surprised how much it made me and Shannon kind of step outside of our box. But Brenda was right in her box, the frame. She was right in her frame. So these are Brenda's beautiful frames. And by the way, let me grab this real quick. So this is where hers started, and you would have thought that's good enough. But I gotta be honest, this is so much cuter. Tell us about them.
Well, this one was a little bit harder for me. There were just so many pretty things. I couldn't decide what to do. There were so many things at Rustic. I mean,
so much.
Oh gosh. And my brain just went chaos. So, but I did decide I wanted to do this. When I first saw these, I said, hey, this will be a great thing. And I knew when I was going there, I wouldn't be using the glass. This is almost like an old technique that we've used many times. I kind of blended them all in. So I took the glass out, and I used the little backing that it had, and I put the papers in. I didn't want them all to be the same. Y'all know that's my thing. And then I just fussy cut, and I wanted the bird to shine and the eggs to shine, so I used the glassy. Same thing with the trees. I wanted all of them to blend but not be alike. And I love using the home decor. That kind of made it. But I didn't want the frames to stay that same color.
Yeah.
So I used the dioxides in the 3 different colors. Now, what I would go back and do them one more time. I only put 1 coat. I would have done 2 coats the next time.
Oh, we didn't ask what we'd do different because that was what we did last time. But I like that you answered that.
Yes. But
I really like these. Also, I know someone's going to ask, why did you not do 4?
Well, I like 3s and 5s and 7s. I'm not that even person. I'm that oddball. It just is more pleasing to the eye. Now, I do have things that are even. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I just like the odd makes my eye feel good. So that's what I do there. But I would be, when you put them in a place because this will get dusty.
Yes, it will get dusty.
So
the other thing I really like with yours, Brenda, is you knew where they were going when you got them.
Yes.
And the reason I want to point that out to the viewer is because if you're shopping and it gets overwhelming, and it could have easily for us because we really didn't know what we're doing or where it was going, narrow down the place you're going to put something and it'll help you look for the right frame.
Once I did that, I figured out what I wanted to do because seriously, I would say there were 25 or 30 different things I could have, I wanted to do. I wanted to do them. So I just said, I need something in my bathroom. And when I take this home, I'm going to have Bucky put it all on one board so I can hang it up and not have to have so many holes in the wall.
That's a good idea.
I like it.
I like it.
It makes them more stable too.
All right, guys, that is it. That is our 3's a Charm video for February/March. We're going to call this one a twofer because we really did start this in February. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. We had a lot of fun.
We did. I love doing this because it also gives me, I don't get to be here all the time. And I also get to see the new stamps, the new paper. It gives me an overview of what's happening in here. And I love it.
What we would like for you guys to do, I think this would be fun. Why don't y'all send us a challenge? Like,
fun.
We did this ourselves. Like, we were at lunch and went, ooh, what if we challenge ourselves?
Right.
What if y'all send us a challenge for 3's a Charm? We'll check them out. We'll pick one. We may even just put them in a hat and draw them out. Who knows? And that would be super fun to do.
I think that would be great.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks so much for being a part of this journey. This was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was probably a lot, but we did a lot of work for this one.
We did.
There was a lot going on. So we asked you last time to let us know in the comments whose was your favorite. We won't put that much pressure on you this time. This time we'll say, tell us in the comment what technique you're glad you saw us do, or maybe you saw for the first time. What thing do you see yourself doing in the future based on something we showed you today? Thanks so much for being here. And until next time, bye now.
Bye.